Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome into the pastor's office here at Bethany. Blessed to have you with me today. This is always a fun week. Thanksgiving on Thursday. Advent starts this weekend. Normally, that happens. Thanksgiving leads into Advent 1, but not always, not quite always. Advent is the 4 Sundays that lead up to Christmas Day. So occasionally, Advent starts a week later. But the norm is for both Thanksgiving and the start of Advent to happen on the same weekend, which is the case this year. So, my tradition growing up, we used to always go to my aunt and uncle's for Thanksgiving. It was an absolute blast. We loved it. And then Friday, we would end up putting up the Christmas tree when my mom she would just pull out everything. Everything would come out on Friday, and it had to be done on Friday. She was a person that did everything just her exact way. It looked immaculate. It really did. So every year we would celebrate Thanksgiving Thursday, have our big feast, watch football. Hopefully, usually, sometimes the Bears were playing the Lions as they are this year. We had a blast with that. And then, of course, on Friday, we would put up the Christmas tree, and we would be watching usually high school and college football while we were putting up the Christmas tree. And then by Sunday, Advent would start in church, and it was just an absolute blast. So, I give thanks for those memories. I give thanks for memories of my parents, the love that they gave, the faith that they showed, the ways in which they influenced me so much. I give thanks for those who have gone before me. Really, I mean, their influence is all over my life. But it's those traditions, right? So nowadays, Gail and I host Thanksgiving. We have extended family. My aunt, cousins come over. We have an absolute blast, and then we start putting up Christmas decorations on Friday. But of course, the main thing here is what we are thankful for, and also Advent. We are preparing the way for the coming of the Lord. The church year is kind of a funny thing. I mentioned the other day in church there are 6 seasons of the church year, and they are meant to just kind of lead us on a rotation, growing in our faith. So Advent is the start of the church year. It is the 4 Sundays, as I said, leading up to Christmas Day, and Advent is actually a time where we prepare for the Christ child to come into our hearts, come into our lives, and we start to kind of contemplate the idea that God was so willing to connect to us, to save us, that God would actually want to come down and experience human life himself, even as a baby, all the way up to death. That is pretty amazing. So we prepare ourselves in Advent for the coming of the Lord, for Emmanuel, God with us, as one of us throughout all of life. And then, of course, Christmas season will come. We'll celebrate that birth, Epiphany, when we start to celebrate the miracles that Christ performed. And then we get into Lent. We start to look at Christ's saving grace and actions in the world. Then we eventually get to Easter and eventually to Pentecost. And all through Pentecost, we take a look at the ways in which Jesus taught, the things he did, the things he role modeled, the teachings that he gave us, the parables specifically, some more of his miracles, and just kind of contemplate who Jesus is in our everyday life. And then we get right back to Advent and we start the process all over again and start preparing our hearts for the coming of the child, for the understanding that God comes to be with us as one of us. And that's what I want us to focus on during Advent this year. God not only comes to be with us, God comes to be us, to experience life as we experience it, to know what it is to be a vulnerable baby and child in need of care, to know what it is to grow up in this particular world, to know what it is to be an adult, to have friends, to have people who don't like us, to understand what those feelings mean, and even to experience slow, painful suffering, rejection, and death, and even experience the grave. It's not just Emmanuel, God with us, it's God as us. And that is a powerful thought, something to be thankful for, that God cares so richly about us, that God is willing to come off the throne to experience life as we do. What a remarkable blessing. Have a very happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Be blessed. Give thanks for those blessings. And we will see you in church on Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve. Of course, you're going to see this after Thanksgiving Eve, but that's okay. You'll get this for Thanksgiving Eve. And then again, we'll see you in church on Sunday, the start of Advent, Advent week 1, and the start of a new year in the church. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Thanks be to God. Amen.